Okay, so for this deep dive, we are unpacking a really remarkable historical event. It honestly reads more like a geopolitical thriller than some ancient religious text.
It really does.
Our sources are taking us to 5th century BCE India, and our mission is, well, it's pretty simple. We're going to try and pull a timeless blueprint for community strength right out of history and see if it can be a toolkit for today.
It's an incredible story. You've got political ambition, you've got espionage, social resilience, it's all there. And the source material is centered around this pivotal moment in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta.
Right, which details the Buddha's final years.
Exactly. We're in the middle of the Mahajanapada era, so this is a time when these massive kingdoms are just swallowing up smaller states left and right.
And the most ambitious king on the map, I mean, maybe the most ruthless, was Ajatasattu of Magadha.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy was a real piece of work. He actually seized his throne through patricide. He killed his own father.
He did. And after consolidating his power, he sets his sights on his next big prize, the Vajji Confederacy. Powerful, prosperous, and right across the Ganges.
But he doesn't just send in the army.
No, he's smarter than that. He sends his chief minister, a very clever Brahmin named Vasikara, to go talk to the Buddha. And look, this was not a spiritual visit.
Right, this was intelligence gathering.
Pure intelligence. Vasikara's job was to suss out the Vajji's weaknesses. He basically says to the Buddha, my king plans to invade the Vajjis, to destroy them. What do you think?
And here is where this high-stakes chess match really begins. The Buddha doesn't give him a military breakdown. He doesn't even, preach about the evils of war.
No, he just turns to his disciple, Ananda, and starts asking him a series of questions, very specific questions about the Vajji's habits, their social structure.
These are the Sata Aparihanyadhamma, the 7 conditions of welfare.
That's it. And Ananda confirms, yes, the Vajjis are practicing all 7 of them right now. And the Buddha's response is what sets the stage for our whole deep dive today. He says, as long as they maintain these conditions, Ananda, the Vajjis will thrive. They cannot be conquered by open force.
That's the hook. A set of social rules is a better defense than any army. So we're going to unpack these 7 conditions. Then we're going to fast forward 2,500 years to modern Mithila, which is ancient Vajji territory, and see if this ancient toolkit can be applied to its struggles today. Okay, let's get into this blueprint. The genius here is that the Buddha promotes nonviolence by showing that ethical living is the best defense.
It is. And Vasikara, this master strategist, he gets it immediately. He realizes his king's army, all that military might, is basically useless against this kind of unity.
It's the ultimate soft power.
It really is. These 7 conditions are just a recipe for community resilience. Let's look at the first 3. They deal directly with governance.
All right, give us number 1.
The first one, and you could argue it's the foundation for everything else, was regular assemblies in harmony.
Okay, so meeting regularly.
Yes, meeting often, discussing public business openly, and this is the absolute key maintaining unity. No factions, no personal grudges getting in the way of progress.
So it's basically like a mandatory drama-free board meeting where everyone shows up, says their piece, and then leaves committed to the plan. It's about collective buy-in.
Precisely. The commitment to the process was the commitment to the state. And that flows right into number 2, peaceful conduct.
Okay.
This meant they gathered, did their business, and left their meetings without any drama. They handled all their public duties together smoothly, cooperatively.
That sounds simple, almost like basic civic hygiene, but in any political body, that's incredibly hard to do. It's operational efficiency built on trust.
It is. Now, number 3, respect for traditions. They stuck to proven customs. They didn't just invent rash new laws or scrap old traditions because they felt like it.
But wait a second, doesn't that risk stagnation? I mean, if you're always revering the past, how do you ever change or innovate? It sounds like a recipe for inertia.
That's a great question. And it's not about stagnation. It's about institutional memory. They focused on maintaining the systems that worked. That created stability, a reliable baseline for everyone. If change was needed, it had to get through that high bar of consensus.
So it prevented those wild, destabilizing swings you'd see in a monarchy based on the whims of one king.
Exactly. Stability was their secret weapon.
Fascinating. So what came next?
The next 2 are about the social fabric. Number 4, honor elders. They revered their seniors, they sought out their wisdom, and they supported them. This made sure that institutional memory we just talked about was a living part of the government.
And number 5.
Protect women and girls. This was fundamental. It meant women had to be respected, kept safe, no forced abductions, no coercion. A society that can't protect its most vulnerable is, by definition, weak.
That one condition says so much about their values, especially compared to some of their neighbors.
It really does. And the last two, they're about cultural cohesion. Number 6 was maintain shrines, caring for all sacred sites, local and otherwise. This reinforces a shared identity across all the different clans in the Confederacy.
Okay, and the last one.
Number 7, support holy ones. This meant protecting ascetics, sages,
Yeah.
educators. They would actively invite them into the community and make sure they could live peacefully.
Yeah.
It's basically supporting wisdom and the search for truth as a public good.
It's an incredible list, and what's so interesting is what happens next, because the history proves just how powerful it was. Vasikara goes back to King Ajatasattu,
Right.
and he has to tell his ambitious, bloodthirsty king that a frontal assault is impossible.
Totally impossible. The Vajis were unbreakable in open war because they had these 7 conditions. So Magadha had to completely change its strategy.
So what did they do?
Vasikara weakened them over 16 years. Not with soldiers, but with cunning, with intrigue. He sowed internal discord.
16 years. That's an entire generation dedicated to sociological warfare.
Yes. Vasikara pretended to be a dissenter. He went to Vaishali, their capital, and just slowly, patiently introduced the opposite of the 7 conditions. He stoked jealousy, spread fake news, and worked to break up the assembly. The army only moved in and annexed them around 468 BCE, long after the social fabric was already in shreds.
The ethical failure came first. The military defeat came second.
Exactly. And if you zoom out, this Vaji-Magadha conflict, it was really a huge clash of ideologies. It was more than just a brutal dispute.
A tale in two systems, really. Walk us through that contrast.
So on one side, you have the Vaji Confederacy. It's a decentralized republic, a league of powerful clans like the Lichavis and the Videyas.
Ruled by consensus.
Right. Ruled by consensus in their assemblies. It's characterized by kind of egalitarianism, flexible caste structures. Their strength came from the people, from their capital in Vaishali.
So an ancient, decentralized republic up against a highly efficient authoritarian state.
That's the one. Magadha, an absolute monarchy under Ajatasattu. Centralized power, hereditary rule, strict hierarchy. All the power was concentrated in the capital, Rajagaha.
Let's talk strengths and weaknesses. Vaji's strength was that unity from the 7 conditions. But their weakness.
Their weakness was that Republican governance can be slow. It's so vulnerable to internal splits, to factionalism, especially when an enemy agent is actively creating those factions.
And Magadha.
Magadha had all the hard power, huge resources, iron weapons, war elephants, siege engines. They were fast, they were decisive. But their weakness was instability. It all depended on one strong leader.
And as Ajatasattu's own rise to power shows, the whole thing could collapse into chaos with one bad king.
Exactly. It's that classic tension. Stability through consensus versus efficiency through authoritarianism. And, well, history shows us who won that round.
Right. Magadha absorbed Vaji and became the foundation for the huge empires that followed, like the Nanda and Maurya dynasties. But the lesson of the Vaji model, that internal harmony is the ultimate defense. That's a powerful idea that never went away. Okay, so let's bring this ancient blueprint into the here and now. Why should you, listening to this, care about a republic that fell 2,500 years ago?
Because the exact vulnerability that destroyed Vaji internal discord, opening the door to collapse, is visible today. And we're going to talk specifically about modern Mithila.
Mithila. This is the cultural heartland of the Mithili people. It covers what was ancient Videha, part of that old Vaji confederacy. We're talking northern Bihar in India, southern Nepal.
It's a place with an incredible heritage. Sita from the Ramayana, the world-famous Madhubani paintings.
And yet today, Mithila faces some critical systemic problem. We're talking about persistent poverty, devastating annual floods, a massive brain drain from youth migration.
And cultural erosion. Plus, politically, there are calls for better recognition, even for a separate Mithila state. But those movements are themselves fractured. These issues are almost a mirror of the fragmentation that brought down the ancient Vajis.
So the 7 conditions aren't just a history lesson, they're a potential toolkit. How do we take that 7-point plan and apply it as a tool for a modern grassroots revival?
Well, we can start with those governance conditions. Number 1, regular assemblies and harmony. For modern Mithila, this means creating real community forums, town halls, using digital platforms to connect the huge Mithili diaspora with people back home.
So they can discuss shared problems like flood management or education funding openly and peacefully.
Exactly. It's the modern Vaji assembly. It's about countering that political fragmentation. Then there's number 2, peaceful conduct.
How does that apply?
Directly to crisis management. In those flood-prone areas, it means cooperative governance, organizing joint relief efforts without getting bogged down in bureaucracy or blame games. When people see leadership working together in a crisis, it builds immense trust.
Okay, so let's move to the cultural conditions. Number 3 was respect for traditions.
Preservation is key here. The Mithili language, great festivals like Chaha Puja, the Madhubani arts, but it's about blending old with new. Use technology to teach the ancient script, promote the art globally.
Number 4, honor elders, seems especially vital in Mithila with so much youth migration.
It's critical. The diaspora is huge, leaving an aging population. We need to create elder councils to share that deep local knowledge about agriculture, about heritage, and we need community programs to fight isolation among the elderly.
And number 5, protect women and girls. That's always a key metric for a society's health.
Absolutely. Mithila has to address issues like high school dropout rates for girls and early marriage, empowering women in local government, enforcing laws, and funding targeted scholarships that would dramatically boost the whole region's strength.
For number 6, maintain shrines. You're talking about cultural economics, right?
Yeah.
Turning heritage into sustainable jobs.
Exactly. Investing in cultural anchors, like the Janaki Mandir in Janakpur. It's not just about faith. It's about tourism, eco-friendly practices, and creating desperately needed local jobs. Preserving identity becomes an economic strategy.
And finally, number 7, support holy ones. How do we interpret that today?
We extend that support and protection to today's innovators, to educators, artists, cultural activists, social entrepreneurs. It means funding cultural centers, providing grants for research into flood resilience, inviting experts for workshops.
So that the next generation of thinkers and doers can thrive locally so they don't feel like they have to leave.
Right, you have to make sure that those not yet come, the innovators, have a reason to stay and build.
So this 7-point strategy, it becomes a powerful force for advocacy. By building that cohesion, Mithila could have a much stronger unified voice to demand things like flood barriers. It could reduce migration by creating better jobs and fight back against cultural erosion.
And it could strengthen those political movements for autonomy through harmonious nonviolent means. What's so striking is that Mithila's modern problems, fragmentation, cultural drift, are the very weaknesses that Ajatasattu exploited all those centuries ago.
The core lesson is just timeless.
It is. The strength of any society ultimately doesn't rest on its wealth or its armies. It rests on its internal unity and its ethical conduct.
And that's the inescapable lesson of Veji. External force fails where internal division succeeds. It tells you exactly where the real battle is.
The Buddha's 7 conditions, they were all about process and conduct. They created this almost unbreakable social defense. So think about this. If the most advanced military empire of its day, the Gada, could only win by spending 16 years on sociological warfare, on pure division, does that suggest that all true, lasting conflicts are ultimately solved or lost, not on the battlefield, but through ethical failures within the community itself? Something to ponder.